bring Jamie up so she can answer. I've heard a lot of great conversations going on about, oh, this is so nice to see this progression of what this started out when Jamie first did this compared to where it ended up in the most recent one. So I'd like to give you guys a chance to ask her some questions about the process, some things you've noticed, questions you have specifically about the third one. So,
and I have a question.
Jamie.
Of the three, could you tell raise your hand if you could tell there's a difference. Awesome. Of the three, could you tell that I evolved? Thank you, Holly. Someone raise your hand, yes. None of them are great, but I want you to know that this is a process. It's okay that a year ago I sucked. And I think we have to let teachers know it is a process. This is hard work. So that's why I am fine with you sharing this with teachers and doing the same thing with teachers, so they get that the more you do it, the more you practice it, and the more you use feedback, the better it gets. Okay, I'm ready for a question.
Questions,
okay,
thoughts,
no questions.
Comments?
This is the audience participation part.
Anne.
Well, thank you. We've been wrestling with the idea that, like, this lesson had 3 different essential enduring understandings.
Are we on the one with the yellow background?
Yes.
Okay.
And trying to wrap our heads around that. I mean, if we're thinking that Dr. Fagan said we should have like 4 or 5 backward plans that we would use for the whole course of the year.
Correct.
And so then if you had like 3 enduring understandings on each one, it's starting to feel unwieldy.
And Anne, I'm yellow with blue, and I own no green. So when someone said today, you know, a few questions, I'm like, crap, I'm the queen of writing a lot and hoping one of them's good. It's the same way with enduring understandings. I do more than one enduring understanding because I am not totally confident on enduring understanding. So I do more than one. Now, there are enduring understandings that I think, for example, in 5th grade could go all year. There are enduring understandings that I think, and I did this at a school. Kiffany, where were we? What school?
Coyote Creek.
Coyote Creek. We did this at Coyote Creek with 5th grade teachers. There were a couple enduring understandings I would do in the fall only. And then in the after Christmas, I would choose a couple other enduring understandings, but one would be over the whole year. So I could see on a backwards plan having one that's going to be all year. Parts impact whole. For every 5th grade topic that we could think of, parts impact whole, we could drill down into the subject area. But there might be some that are great for the fall, but I'm going to, as they evolve as learners, then there might be different ones in the spring. How's that for an answer?
That's helpful. And then part 2 of what we were talking about was, excuse me, that we don't truly start with backward planning. We don't truly start by saying, what enduring understandings do we want to do this year? We say, what are the grade level expectations for my grade? What do I need to teach? Now I can go up and match enduring understandings to what those things are that kids are supposed to know and be able to do that year.
Actually, when I worked with the 25 4th grade teachers, Christy, was it a month ago-ish? What really helped was to think of a theme or a big idea. The minute we get stuck in the standards, we tend to drill down to a low-level stage 1. So by starting, you know, we made the error this summer with Gouda for letting people plan a unit they'd already done, and all they did was repackage. That's my Ben's Fort one. That is a repackage in a backwards plan template of what I've been doing for years. So we had them pick this big, what did I call it, theme, concept, so movement, conflict, transportation. And I said, you may not do a unit you've done before, and that was Dana's advice, and it made all the difference in the world. So then from there, they began to jump around in stage 1 with enduring understandings, but there was a focus.
And great point. What I've heard people say is that they call them multiple entry points into stage 1. So if it feels more comfortable or more natural for you to start with your world-class outcomes and build up from there, then that's okay. There's not like nobody's holding the hammer over your head. You must start with enduring, wherever it's most comfortable. If it's with big ideas, so you get those themes laid out, that's okay. That idea of multiple entry points into stage 1 is perfectly all right. We actually asked Dr. Fagan this during one of her trainings, and she had said, I start with the outcomes and build my way up. So if that's more comfortable or more natural, absolutely. Brad.
You know, I think
I actually had the mic first.
Ooh, mic bite. Judy, get this on film.
Tease you. When Dana was here, we asked the same question Anne asked, and she agreed to 2 things. That you could have just one enduring understanding. Because I said, I'm seeing 3 everywhere. I'm seeing 3 enduring. I'm seeing 3 essential questions per enduring understanding when we're modeling it here. I'm like, is there a guide or a rule that it has to be 3? And she said, you could have 1. And then the other question we had came up at one of our schools we were working with. Could a K-6 school have parts impact the whole throughout all grades? So this thread flows through in the conversations. It kind of took me back to the work we did with Ron Richart and the visible thinking routines. To truly be a routine, to truly deepen your understanding with it, you chose one and did it all year long until you really had it down and then understood where would I want to add more. So I liked that answer too. That
And
there was.
for some reason, I'm stuck on 3. I really am. I don't know why.
You know, that's the first I've heard of the multiple entry points, and I think you know, as a high school and elementary have a different perspective on how we do our planning. I think it's a lot easier for an elementary plan to be more holistic in that teacher teaches multiple subjects to the kid. As a high school teacher, I said earlier, you wrap yourself in your content like a warm blanket. But you really do start with specific outcomes in your content area. So that multiple entry point of the plan, it's the first time I've heard that explained in a way that would make sense to a high school teacher that's different than an elementary school's teacher's process.
So I'm going to push your thinking because my friends at the back table, we just had this conversation about secondary. And the secondary and elementary, and what you said is totally right. Elementary, we are about integration and connections because we do everything. Heck, those kindergartners.
With the same group of kids all day.
Right. So here was the conversation.
Most of the time, by subjects usually, kind of split.
So here was the aha conversation from my friends at the back table. Said if a child, a high school kid, hypothetically, let's say a 16-year-old, goes into a math class, and there is this global enduring understanding that part impact whole, as an example. And they get to see how that works in math. And then they walk to their art class, and they get to see parts impact whole through the lens of arts. And then they walk to social studies, and they see parts impact whole. I can see an owning to now 25, 23-year-old who all the way through high school said, I don't know why I need to do this. I don't know why I need to learn this. And you're right, secondary people love the content. That's actually one of the twin sins, is they're content-driven. Elementary teachers, their sin is activity-driven. I can see that at a secondary level, that when we figured out how to do connections for kids.
Right, and I agree with you, and I think that's the piece that's kind of been missing, is that as a school, if you adopted that for all of your teachers, that would be great. But where we're at is we're asking individual teachers to identify that in their own content. And the rub there is that a high school is very diverse. You're going to get thousands of different enduring understandings with no focus unless that focus is narrowed. And a good example of that is IB. IB is very narrowed on what their expectations are, but that's created by a group, and then teachers are trained on that process as they go through it. So I like where that's headed, but that's the first I've heard it. So I do like that direction, that if the whole school were focused on the same enduring understandings, it would come across deeper to kids.
In our work with system performance, these are conversations we are having between departments that when we are looking at our assessments, we need to look at growth over time. And so we're going to have that thread, that theme that crosses grades. And so you may be an IB school and you may call it tomato and we may have it tomato, But
But I think that what I'm saying is that consistency within a building is what will make it work.
I agree.
That inconsistency when a building, when each teacher is defining their own enduring understandings, is where it gets convoluted and it loses meaning to a kid. When they go to a math class and the math teacher gives them 3 enduring understandings, and they go to a French class and the French teacher gives them 3 different enduring understandings, and then they go to an orchestra class and they have 3 different enduring understandings there, that loses its impact for a kid. When it's consistent and tied together.
In our content blankies in our silos.
Exactly,
right?
and that's what will happen if it's not tied together for an entire building or for an entire grade level. Or so it's nice to see that being put
And I also,
in terms of a whole school.
Yes.
yeah, and with the multiple entry points, keep in mind the multiple entry is still within stage 1. You don't enter at stage 3 or stage 2. You still enter at that high level outcome if that's your thinking.
Yeah, exactly. You can't do stage 3 first.
No.
I'm talking about within stage 1. If it's more comfortable for you to do the outcomes, where's my funnel? Oh.
Window.
Here it is. If this piece for you works better to do this first and then move up through the funnel, great, right? If this part is hard for you to start here and funnel your way down, the multiple entry points within stage 1, exactly, Holly, great clarification.
I just want to make a comment about the enduring understandings. I promised I wouldn't make a lot of comments, so I'm sitting here trying to hold my thoughts. About the enduring understandings, I understand your frustration at high school. I taught high school, and we're working on that, especially through systems performance, possibly coming up with PK-12 enduring understandings. However, the focus is also supposed to be on that transferability to the real world and to the real work. So currently, you might be siloed because of English 1, Math 1, I'm not sure what they call it. But it's supposed to be, how does the kid look at what they're learning and transfer that to parts impact whole? Now I get it because I can apply that to da-da-da-da in the real world. So that's really the focus right now, and that can be the intent, but we are trying to make it more cohesive and tighter in the long run. I had another thought and I just forgot about it. Oh, the other piece with enduring understandings, and I want to make sure people don't just think they're something you post on your stage 1 and let's just get through stage 1 so I can get on with stage 2 and get to stage 3, because I love stage 3. Enduring understandings, when you really think about it, focus why you're teaching what you're teaching. We had coaching sessions the other day, and we were looking at teachers' plans, trying to give feedback to the principals, and my whole point was, I'm an English teacher, I'll blame myself. Why did I ever teach To Kill a Mockingbird? I don't have to teach it. There's a bazillion things that I could use instead. Why am I doing that? And the enduring understanding really focuses on the whole point of what we're talking about. I might have something about prejudice in my enduring understanding, something about that, but we don't have to use just To Kill a Mockingbird to get to that point. We can use many, many resources. We can have kids choose what they want to do with that. So the whole point of the enduring understanding is to answer that, why are we doing this? I mean, we all know we don't have enough time to teach everything we'd like to. After I sabotaged, anybody else have any other questions or comments? I'll be quiet.
Which one was the most recent one, guys? Is that fairly obvious? Yeah, the yellow background one and the newest template. We probably should have stripped the templates off of them, huh, to make this a little bit more useful.
And I even thought you had them numbered 1, 2, 3 in order.
No, they weren't in order. We actually reordered but yeah. Yeah, so the numbers weren't in order, but we probably should have put them all in a nice white template and stripped it. Anyway, okay. What we want you guys to do now, thinking with that progression and seeing what the outcomes look like on the 3rd plan, does anybody feel the need to do any adjusting to your stage 1 plan? To your outcomes to make them a little more global, include more 4 Cs? Any thoughts? Do we need a couple minutes? Align them a little tighter? Let's do this. Instructions. I'm going to follow Jamie's protocol. In just a moment, I'm going to have you guys stand up behind your chairs when you hear the music, and then I will give you directions from that point to move forward. Okay, before you move to adjust your outcomes and your stage 1, if you need to, take your rubric, a copy of the stage 1 rubric, and a writing utensil with you. And we're going to give you guys 2 minutes to adjust your plan. So everybody's going to go to your poster hanging on the wall, 2 minutes to adjust, and then listen for instructions in 2 minutes. If you just start there, they'll start so when they create their academically based plan, do you want it in the new template? And if so, should I have Bob put it in Emoto?
I would give a choice. If they want the template, but other people, their brain works differently, so.
If they want a template to start with, it's there.
That's a resource, but I'm moving away from do what makes sense for you. You just have to have all the components.
So if you need, okay, perfect. So I think we can do a couple things because she says she's not, Dana just said that they can use the template if they want, but if they want to use something else, it's okay. So can we maybe post the Google-fied one? That's not a template though, they'd have to do file, make a copy.
Let me see what I can do real quick.
So I was afraid to throw it in the template gallery till just now, but now I'm not worried about it.
See if I can do it real fast.
Let's go hand them out. Back to get stickies.
They think that stage one is the whole, almost like the whole shooting match, and so they're like, well, when do we do the process of how you actually do it? So they're not getting that, oh, that all comes in stage three, and then you measured in stage 2. So they didn't see the big picture of how they connect. So that's just maybe an aha.
Yeah, I think we'll kind of because we'll do this little walkabout here in just a minute, and then I think what we'll do is say, notice how much time of the 2 days we're spending on stage one.
On stage 1.
So
Because
think
they're
about
like,
how
they're
important
thinking,
is
oh my
it
God,
to
well,
set it.
where do we get to when they actually do? It's like, well, those are activities in 3. Those are stage 3.
A ways down, yeah. Thank you, Robin.
When Andrew created it,
It is a template? Sweet. Thank you. Okay, guys, so what we're going to do next, now that you've had a chance to get familiar with the rubric, you've evaluated Jamie's 3 plans using that rubric, you have a pretty good idea of what quality looks like here for stage 1. We're going to do a little bit of a gallery walk. Now, we don't want to take a ton of time and do every single one, but I want you guys to pick 2 plans, and you're going to give feedback using sticky notes on those plans. Now, we have some specific guidelines about the feedback. Okay, everybody turn around and look this way really quickly, please. Okay. Okay, so in just a moment, you're going to send one person from your group back to the table to grab some sticky notes. You guys as a group are then going to pick 2 plans somewhere around the room. So I could go back and check out Kay Tucker's writing a bike group plan, or I could check out the decorating the Christmas tree plan over here. And you're going to use the rubric to evaluate their stage 1 on the sticky note. We want to ask you to identify 2 areas of strength that they have within their stage 1. And then also write down 2 questions that you would ask them in a coaching capacity. So what are 2 questions that you could ask this person about this plan to help them improve it a bit? Okay, so you're going to put that facilitator coaching hat on for that second part. We good? Okay, 2 different plans. We're going to take about 7-8 minutes, see how it goes. Sticky note with those 2 things.